We try and look at the constructs of relationships. We try and study how our relationship's been harmed and lost, or what's causing sadness in the heart and mind of the other person. They'll tell us what the problem is. They'll tell us that they're trying to understand. They'll tell us that they want things to improve. You've been told. You've had every opportunity to change. You've remained stubborn and steadfast in the things that have harmed the relationship. You haven't listened. Whatever the problem is, usually relative and always connected to our sinful nature. The Bible describes it as the old man, the Adamic nature, the fallen nature, the nature that was put into humankind when Eve was interfered with by the devil. There's an evil nature inside of all of us, and it will do whatever it can to destroy any happiness, any self-worth, any personal, deliberate improvements that we're trying to make. The carnal nature will set out to try and destroy those things. That's how the Bible puts it. And one of the great destroyers, unfortunately, is thinking that there's something you can do or not do to make God happy or stop him from being sad, outside of or alongside of the finished work of Jesus Christ and the salvation that comes with believing in what he's done. So when it comes to our relationship, if we're running around either trying to make someone happy or causing them to be sad, and we're not walking by faith, because faith only works through love, and love might be not ignoring the issue but explaining it, then we're going to run into trouble, because we're not looking at things from a perspective that's trying to improve. There's a lot of people out there that have had people come into their lives and they've brought improvement, they've brought love, they've brought every opportunity to succeed and to be better, to make a nice, calm, peaceful, happy life. And old habits, current habits, jealousies and deceitfulnesses and things that ruin relationships that they possibly weren't recognized as being negative in their last relationship, so they're not aware of it in this one, because a lot of people ignore things just to have the company. They won't run by standards. Yes, there's a time for tolerance, there's a time for forbearance and patience and long suffering. There's time for all these things. But when it becomes a joke, when these things are ignored that make relationships better, and you're just a punching bag for people's character flaws and habits and addictions, and you've shown forbearance and long suffering and kindness and goodness and faithfulness, and that person's just undermined all your effort, stood by the problem, haven't really resolved anything. They've just found answers that have kept you around a little bit longer. They've kept you around a little bit longer, and you know things are going down the tubes. You know something's not right. That's when the intimacy starts to wane or shrivel. That's going to cause another problem within itself, because this could bring people to triangulation. These days, many of them turn to their children. It's called covert emotional incest. They turn to their children. Others turn to strangers and have affairs in that way. Emotional affairs to try and solve the unresolved. You see, people by nature will pull towards the unresolved. That's where you have to be swift and come in and confront the issue. Once the issue is confronted, if you're laughed at, jeered at, ignored, or things aren't going to be fixed, you leave. You leave, immediately leave. They'll come back, they'll bung on sex, they'll bung on this, they'll bung on that, but the reality is, if the unresolved is still there, despite all the temptations that they're going to bring to you, if they want you to hang around as supply, or whatever they're labeling you as, they'll put on an act. They'll bring the shop front that they've got to offer. And that's not going to guarantee a positive outcome. The only thing that's going to bring the outcome and the resolve and the psychological restoration and health that you both need is resolve. And if you think resolve is easy to find, good luck with that. I've lost or given away or walked away from relationship after relationship. I've lost marriages through interferences and things that I was just unable to resolve because they had nothing to do with me. They had everything to do with the attitudes and opinions of other people. My first wife ended up in housing commission for the decisions that she made. Obviously the financial side of life was just too much. The second wife, I don't even know where she is. I don't think I even knew who she was. A very, very ugly person underneath her covert appearance. I've never met anyone so clever at hiding who they really were. Like, I've listened to videos and I've watched videos on covert narcissists and all these other covert Machiavellianism, dark triad behaviours, but I'd never thought until it actually happened that I'd marry someone that could bring children in to destroy a relationship, vandalise or attempt to vandalise my new relationship. I mean, these people, the lengths that they'll go to try and satisfy their evil is relentless. And you have to be aware of the fact that this does happen, and if you've turned a blind eye, I know people that have been in relationships with people that aren't going to grow and develop their whole lives. Their bodies are sick and have been sick for decades. Their minds are sick and have been sick for decades because they were happy to put up with the toxicity of somebody else because they were toxic themselves. Toxic, horrible, just toxic. And as I keep saying, this does happen to religious people as well. They become so religious and false, they become toxic. And it's a plague on our society because God just wants people to love themselves and love others as themselves. And this all gets complicated and confused. Horribly complicated and confused. And people suffer in their love lives because of it. In their intimate lives. Their children suffer because the children are measuring life by the health of the intimate relationships their parents are having. And when the primary intimate relationship collapses and the parents now turning to the child for psychological and in some measures intimate support, covert emotional incestual support, that even makes more damage. Then you've got these fools that jump the fence and have affairs and damage the people that were trusting them and loving them. Then you've got these fools that have come out of marriages, whether the person's left or died or whatever, and they've been shaped into this partial monster that will be close to you one minute and far from you the next. Nobody likes that. But this is what happens to people. And it doesn't matter if you're single and you haven't got a relationship. That's just doesn't matter. You're not measured if you've got a relationship or not. It's a voluntary choice. And you've got to put up with all the stuff that comes with that. And I'm telling you, it's in so many different ways. That's not going to work in your favor. And you have to be able to navigate the parts that are going to challenge you and possibly help you to grow. Parts that are going to encourage you to not grow. You have to be able to continue to grow and work around those things so that you don't get brought down. And that could mean losing the relationship. Even when you're on your own, you're challenged to do things that are either going to make you better or make you worse. And you've got to find a way of making the choices that are going to make you better, not worse. And that takes effort. That takes conscious effort on your part to work out where you're succeeding and where you're not, and doing the things that you need to do to make life happen for you. You're going to have people around you that are going to make you stall, that are going to make you negligent, that are going to make you want to be lazy. They're going to influence you to take drugs and be lazy and all this other stuff. You don't want to end up like this boat, washed up on the shore. You have to stay on point. You have to stay on your game. And you have to make sure every day that you get up and leave that pillow that you are going to make choices that are going to benefit your mental health and physical and spiritual health. Because they're the things that are going to uphold you and sustain you in 2024. This is New Year's Day here at Gosford on the Central Coast. I'm Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist. Do everything you need to make sure that your life is the best that it can be now. And if it's not, make small changes to make that happen. And if it's one step forward and two steps back, keep doing it and keep doing it until you break through. Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, out.